Well, 60 years ago this week, pop music went through a seismic shift when the Beatles appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show.
And viewers in the Northland tuned in on KDAL Channel 3.
The British music invasion that followed was a memorable time for the teenagers of the era.
And Dave Anderson heard stories from some of those folks this week's Holding On to History.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
We enjoyed listening to the Beatles and all of the reaction on the Ed Sullivan Show. We gathered around the living room, and it was just a fantastic experience, and it made me want to go down to Goldfinds and get some of that fine music. Goldfinds by the bridge.
Mike Chase joined 73 million other Americans to watch the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show on February 9th, 1964 to kick off Beatlemania and the British invasion. Vicki George's mother was a writer with connections in Hollywood, television, and music. She got to meet three-quarters of the Fab Four on a trip to England a few months before the band broke big here. She says John Lennon shined in the sun.
And I saw John, and then Ringo and Paul were in the background, but they were kind of dark in the shadows.
George Harrison was absent because he was visiting his sister in America. When the Fab Four came to America, manager Brian Epstein gave Vicki souvenirs to pass around her school.
And for like a day, I was popular, and everybody took them. The interesting thing was that several years later, when I was a senior, kids signed my yearbook to the girl who brought the Beatles.
Beatlemania also opened the American door to a British invasion of other bands. Vicki's mother got her a job as West Coast fan club president for the Dave Clark 5, where she wrote an article for Teen Magazine.
All of a sudden, I get a call, and they said, Vicki, we want you to come and kiss Dave Clark for a publicity photo. And I'm just going, okay, yeah, I can do that.
The Beatles broke up in 1970. Some will argue the British invasion of American pop music is still going on. Vicki George grew up and married CSS professor David Surgis. She wonders whatever happened to her Beatles and DC-5 souvenirs. Mike Chase grew up to be a music historian who frequently appears on Tracy Lundine's Talk of the Town radio program. As a kid, he knew the Beatles would have staying power.
60 years for the Beatles? That doesn't surprise me, but I have to say it probably won't be repeated anytime soon.
Taylor Swift fans today may argue that point, and we'll check back in another 60 years to see how that went. Holding on to history in Duluth, Dave Anderson, Northern News Now.
Really cool video there. The Beatles' first Ed Sullivan appearance held the record for the most watched TV show in America for 3 years.
Wow, it was finally outdone by the finale of The Fugitive in 1967.